Welcome to the 48th episode of Lalita Divya Rahasya Sahasranama Stotra. The ultimate unconditional cosmic energy source in the universe manifesting itself in thousand different forms, sufficiently small doses for everybody to absorb through the unification of their faculties, four faculties, with there was northbound with the southbound faculties in the body. That is the essence of Lalita Divya Rahasya Sahasranama Stotra. Let us move on. The next nama is Agna Chakrantaralasta. Agna Chakrantaralasta. Between the foreheads, in the place between the forehead, the entity that resides in the middle of the forehead between the two eyebrows, that is Agna Chakrantaralasta. So we have been talking about the Kundalini energy that has started from Muladhara with the heaviest of the five elements, that is water content, predominantly water content, passing through Brahma Grandhi, where the water element is being filtered, and subsequently in Vishnu Grandhi, where the earth element is filtered. So the energy flow that emanates, that leaves the Vishnu Grandhi, is predominantly having the fire element. So this fire element energy flow passes through the Visuddhi Chakra, and through the revolution of the Visuddhi Chakra, the air element gets originated along with the fire element in the energy flow. So there is an air element that surfaces due to the revolution of the Visuddhi Chakra. So the energy flow that comes out of that leaves Visuddhi Chakra is rarefied fire element along with some air element. So this energy flow now passes through Agna Chakra, where the inner Guru resides, and through the blessings of the inner Guru, the fire element mixed with the air element, it gets a proper direction. So usually the air element is random, and air mixed with fire is even more random. So after passing through the revolution of Agna Chakra, the blessings of the inner Guru, this mixture gets transformed like a fuel with a particular direction and a purpose. So if we consider the body as a boat, the GPS for this boat that is capsized in the middle of the sea, the GPS for this boat is the inner Guru that resides in Agna Chakra. So it is for that reason our ancestors, when they were doing the Kundalini Upasana, the forehead, the region between the two eyebrows, it was appearing with a lot of radiance, brightness, and subsequently the Kundalini Vidya got it is vanished, or it has been ignored, and people have reverted to external means like applying bindi near forehead, etc., etc. So, but the real meaning for application of the bindi near forehead or between the eyebrows is to show gratitude to the inner guru for the services that he is rendering. So this inner guru is one and the same for whether, regardless of whether the individual is Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, or whatever. So for all the living beings, there is an inner guru. It is not just limited to one particular religion or one particular sect. So this, under the supervision of this inner guru, the air element, the fire element, air element, fire and air element mixture of the energy gets controlled and transformed into a fuel, and he grants a purpose or direction to this energy flow. So those who are individuals who are having weak fire element or air element, or too strong fire element or weak element, they are not being blessed with their they are not being connected with their inner guru. It's as simple as that. So for many people, when they do meditation or when they do dhyana, they see this light of brightness near the forehead, and many people believe it is the soul energy, but it is not the soul energy. It is the presence of the inner guru who resides in the Agna Chakra, and his presence is it is internal. It is secret. It cannot be seen through the external eyes. So lot of sadhakas, those who dedicate their life towards this methodical approach, they're desperate to seek their guru. So this guru is inner guru is the most powerful, and all the inner gurus of all the living beings, they are connected inward. It's a big network. It's biggest network probably that is operating, bigger than any terrorist network, any other forms of network. Okay, so in Mahabharata, Pandavas Pandavas undergo through 1 year of what is known as Agnatavasa. So Agnatavasa means to operate secretly to conceal your identity and then take a different form, different identity. And they did it for 1 year. This Agnatavasa is nothing but the effort that they dedicate to seek their inner guru. That's why they change their external appearance. That is called Agnatavasa. Similarly, in Ramayana, Sita has spent 1 year in Lanka to facilitate Rama, to make Ravana get connected to his inner guru. So that is the meaning of Agna Chakrantaralasta. The next nama is Rudragrandhi Vibhedini. So between Agna Chakra and Sahasrara Chakra, there is a Rudragrandhi, the knot that connects the Agna Chakra and the Sahasrara Chakra. So every two chakras there is a knot. Starting from Brahmagrandhi, which is surfacing after the first two chakras, then Vishnu Grandhi after Manipuraka and Anahata, then Rudra Grandhi after Visuddhi and Agna Chakra. So what comes out of the energy flow that leaves Visuddhi Chakra is having fire element and air element that has gone through the supervision of the Guru's blessings. It has transformed into a fuel, got a direction, specific direction. So this Rudra Grandhi filters out the heavy elements in this fuel, mainly the fire element, and the remaining rarefied fuel predominant with air element is passed to the Sahasrara Chakra, that is on the top of the head. So this completes the three Grandhis here. So Rudra Grandhi Vibhedini is a filter that acts to filter out the air element, the fire element. So through these three Grandhis, the balancing of the five elements within the body takes place. The harmony of the five elements in the body. So the three Grandhis, Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, Rudra Grandhi, they represent a lot of things in our scriptures. For example, Trimurtis, that is Brahma, Vishnu, Ishvara, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra corresponds to Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi and Rudra Grandhi. Similarly, Triloka or Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi, Rudra Grandhi. Similarly, Trikala, the three time scales, time zones, that is current, past and the future, refers to Brahma Grandhi, Vishnu Grandhi and Rudra Grandhi. While Vishnu Grandhi is the current, Brahma Grandhi is the past and Rudra Grandhi is the future. So not only this, and there is Trikutas, Tripuras, all this refers to the three Grandhis. Many people believe these are like external entities, but these are not external entities, these are internal entities. And they are the Grandhis, three Grandhis in the body. Similarly, in weddings, marriage ceremonies, the bridegroom ties a sacred thread known as Mangala Sutra, and the thread is tied with the three knots in marriages. The three knots are nothing but these three Grandhis. Our ancestors have identified this Kundalini. Kundalini Vidya is a life force. It is a binding force of our society, of the universe, of the individual as well. So they have identified that there is this Vidya, this art, this Kundalini Vidya should not become extinct, and hence they have introduced some practices in our lifestyle, so that we will not forget this Kundalini Vidya. And one of the ways that they have introduced in our lifestyle is in our marriage ceremonies, through the introduction of this Mangala Sutra, that is tying this sacred thread with three knots. So if you unfold these three knots, essentially you need two ends to tie a knot. So 3 into 2 is 6. So if you unfold this 3 knots, it becomes 6 Kundalini Chakra, that is up to Agna Chakra, Muladhara up to Agna Chakra. So the essence of this Mangala Sutra in weddings is essentially to send a message, communicate a message that wife and husband are not two entities, they are one and the same, and the wife so they have to sail through together. So when it is required, wife is acting like a guru to the husband. When wife is in need, husband is acting like a guru to the wife. And through this mutual harmony state, the unification of husband and wife acting as one and the same, they are activating each other's Kundalini energy through the marriage, institution of marriage. That is the whole essence of marriage, to promote Ardhanarishwara Tattva in the same way that Shiva and Parvati and Kameshwara and Universal Mother has followed. However, we have ignored this, and that's why this is sacred thread. Through mantras and through some rituals, some energy is being injected into the sacred thread. But of course, this has to be done in a witness mode. And now it has become just a mechanical practice. And even in courts, during the divorce, there is a practice that if the person says 3 times divorce, 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 then it is a divorce. And those who are acting like a witness to a particular case, they are made to take a oath 3 times. So all this refers to the 3 Granthis. So how these 3 Granthis have come into the human body? So through Kula, Akula, Kulangana, Kulandasta, Kaulini, Kulayogini, Kulamrutaikrasika, Kulasangeda Valini, through that the genes were introduced for the first time in the evolution of the humans, not only on earth, but also this refers to the previous world that existed in Mars. So there were some individuals that were not fitting into the Para Vidya, the Apara Vidya, they have been taken into control through Apara. Those who do not fit into, that is Akula. So those who do not fit into Para and Apara, they have been captured through Para Apara and transformed. Those who do not fit into Para Apara, they have been subjected to Para of Para Apara and also Apara of Para Apara. So that has completed maximum proportion of the individuals who need to be transformed. Why they need to be transformed? Towards the saturation. That's the only goal. It's not a forced conversion. So those who do not fit into Para, Apara, Para Apara, and Para of Para Apara and Apara of Para Apara. So how to control them? How to transform them? So for these people, for these individuals' sake, there is an internal change that has happened, genetic change that has happened, the ignition of the soul energy, and once the soul energy gets ignited through the Kundalini waves, it is unstoppable. So there is some speed breakers, there is some filter mechanisms that were introduced. And this has happened genetically for the sake of the evolution of the mankind. So the 3 Gandhis of the Brahma Gandhi, Vishnu Gandhi, Rudra Gandhi, the knots have formed and acted like the filtering mechanisms to even out the imbalances in the 5 elements of the body, so that those individuals that do not fit into Para, Apara, Para Apara, and Para of Para Apara, Apara of Para Apara, can be controlled to through the emergence of these three Grandhis, the genetic evolution of these three Grandhis, and hence the internal harmony takes place and they have been transformed internally. Once they have been transformed internally, they can be taken into control through any of those five techniques, that is para, apara, para, 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 apara, para, para. So that is the essence of Rudra Grandhi Vibhedini. So the next nama is Sahasraram Bhujarudha. So this nama refers to the 1,000 petal lotus that resides in the Sahasrara, the top of the head. Arudha means it is ever, forever. That's what is Arudha means. Asana means sometimes you sit, sometimes you get up from the asana. That is the seat. Arudha is forever. Is you holding on to that attribute forever. That is called Arudha. So the energy flow that leaves Rudra Grandhi, that is predominantly filled with the air element, the fire element gets filtered in Rudra Grandhi. So this energy, this fuel reaches Sahasrara Chakra, and through the revolution of the Sahasrara Chakra, through the dura cell, the membrane on top of the head, it is permeable membrane, and that can be seen for an infant baby that it is permeable. It is not, there's some little bit of opening, and through that opening, you can see that it is vibrating. So that is dura on top of the head, that is Sahasrara Chakra, and through the Sahasrara Chakra revolution, this the energy flow, the fuel gets unified with the external five elements. The internal five elements, whatever is the left out entities, the imbalances, or the harmony state, whatever is the residual of the harmony state, it is being passed to the external five elements through the Brahmarandra that is on top of the head, that is called Sahasrara. It's also known as Jura in English. So in Sahasrara, Varudha is forever. What is this forever in this nama? Sahasrara, it is known that Shiva resides in Sahasrara in a meditation posture, and he is in meditation forever. That is called Arudha. And the Shiva is a representation of the harmony state, the Sivasikta Samarasya, and that is what we have discussed in the Kaulini Nama. So through the directive of the inner Guru in Agna Chakra, this energy flow that leaves out the Agna Chakra and subjected to the revolution of the Sahasrara Chakra, the energy leaves out through the Sahasrara petals, Brahmarandra, and unifies with the sky element and the five elements of the external physical world. And this is a yoga for those individuals for whom the Sahasrara Chakra is blossomed. They are in yoga forever. Yoga means it is beyond. It is not to be captured um, in time. It is beyond time. It defies the time. So that is called yoga. So for those individuals in this context, for those individuals for whom this Brahmarandra is not able to respond, or or it is not blossomed. So for those individuals, the sky element, the internal sky element is weak, and these individuals are disconnected. Usually they are disconnected from the inner guru. And these individuals, whatever action or karma they do, they are succumb to the time. For those individuals for whom this Sahasrara Chakra, the 1,000 petals or Brahmarandra is blossomed, they are beyond time. They operate like beyond time. Okay, so that is the essence of Sahasraram Bhujarudha. The next nama is Sudhasara Varshini. Sudhasara Varshini is the heavy, the lashing of the heavy rain, similar to the lashing of the heavy rain, the nectar of immortality. That is that nectar of immortality that reaches the Sahasrara. Nectar of immortality that reaches the Sahasrara, and then it penetrates the body through Sahasrara like the heavy rain, lashing out of the heavy rain. That is Sudhasara Varshini. So here, this is the essence of being in yoga. So when those individuals who are in yoga, who are beyond time, who are in Sivasikta Samarasya, and through this Sivasikta Samarasya, the harmony state of northbound and southbound forces in the body, and those who are in balance, able to balance the 5 elements, and they send out the excess spillover of these 5 elements, balancing the harmony state through the Sahasrara Brahmarandra into the universe, the 5 external elements. For them, what is the return they get through this same Brahmarandra, the dura of the on top of the head, they get the nectar of immortality, representing the unified force of Kameshvara, the universal mother, and Vishwamata, the universal Kameshvara, the universal father, and the Vishwamata, the universal mother. In return, they get the nectar of immortality of universal father and universal mother through the same. And that nectar is what? It is not like a small dose. It is like lashing of the heavy rain. Sudhasara Varshini. Varshini means heavy rain. So this implies that the unification of the universal mother and father is like a heavy rain. It happens like a heavy rain. So those who are in yoga, they experience this effect, that nectar of immortality effect, that is unstoppable. It is it's only limited by the how much, to what extent this opening on top of the head in Sahasrara. It's only limited by that. It is not limited on the other side. Other side is abundant. That is what we have been discussing right from the beginning. The cosmic, unconditional cosmic energy that is in the universe, it is abundant, it is infinite, and there are no controls on the other side. So there are many individuals who have experienced this Sudha Saravashini, the nectar of the immortality. So the let us see some examples. So Chagaraja is well known for his kirtanas. Even today, his kirtanas have been practiced very widely. So he applied this Patanjali's formula called Chitta Vritti Nirodham Yogam. That means his faculty of discretion has closed the doors. So he has entered into the yogam by application of this technique. And in this yogam, so he was being nourished through this nectar of immortality of the Universal Father and Mother. And then in this yogam, he has unleashed many kirtanas, original compositions. Raga Sudha Rasa Panamu Chesi Sobhillave Vo Manasa Raga Sudha Rasa Panamu Chesi Sobhillave O Manasa Raga Sudha Rasa. Then he goes on to say, Vidulu Jivan Muktulu Ani Chagaraju Palike Raga Sudha Rasa Panamu Chesi Sobhillave O Manasa Raga Sudha Rasa. So what it means is that in yogam, so when he was receiving this nectar of immortality through his Sahasrara chakra, so even the Deha Bhranti effect, the bodily, the blood relations, the possessiveness, that is Raga Dveshas, all that is also been immersed with this nectar of immortality. And his karmacharana, Vidulu Jivan Muktulu, his karmacharana action is also been filled with ingredients of this nectar of immortality. So that is what he is referring to. So clearly he must have gotten this Sudha Saravashini through his Sahasrara chakra. So that's why in another kirtana he says, Ni Dayarada Ramani Dayarada Ni Dayarada Ni Dayarada Rama Nannu Brochuvaadavani Nade Telise. So every sentence he uses this word ni dayarada, Rama ni dayarada, Nannu Brochuvaadavani. So what is the specialty of this kirtana? So those who are in yoga, the harmony state, the secrets of the universe through this nectar of immortality reaches them. So they don't need anybody's preachings. So they get the preaching directly from the Universal Mother and Universal Father. So in music there are 7 notes. That's called Saptaswaras, referring to 7 Kundalini chakras in the body. These are Sa, Ri, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni. Sa refers to Muladhara, Ni refers to Sahasrara. So Chagaraja in this kirtana, Ni Dayara. So every sentence is inserting this word, the letter Ni at the end. So referring this knee refers to the Sahasrara Chakra, the 1,000 petals on top of the head. So hence, through this Brahmarandra, the nectar of immortality, through that nectar of immortality, Tyagaraja has fantasized or imagined the unification of Sita and Rama. And he was overwhelmed with this unification because it is lashing out like a rain, heavy rain on him. And he is beyond his body, and in that state, so he has unleashed this beautiful composition. Ni Dayarada Ramani Dayarada Ni Dayarada Ni Dayarada Rama. So it goes on and on and on. In every sentence he ends with the ni. Similarly, in Treta Yuga, Ravana goes to Mount Kailash, and so he touches the Muladhara Chakra of the Kailas, that is the base of the Kailas, and he gets beyond body experiences. He gets into the unification and in a yoga state, and he was in that state for 1,000 years. And in that state, he has unleashed what is known as most popular Ravana Stotra. Jatatavi galajjala pravahapavitastale. So this is a very famous Jatatavi galajjala pravahapavitastale. That is called Ravana Stotra, and this is because of the immortal nectar that he was receiving, not only through his Sahasrara but also through his fingertips. So he has been filled in from both sides, both ends. Usually the yoga is through one end, that is Brahmarandra, but because he was touching the base of the Mount Kailas, and he was in Kailas where there is abundance of cosmic energy, through both ends, all ends have been filled with, flushed with the nectar of immortality. And he immediately went into overwhelmed state beyond body and started singing this Jatatavi galajjala pravahapavitastale. So what it means is that I am lost in the jata. Jata is the long hair, the threaded hair of the Shiva, the forest of the hair, the threaded hair of the Shiva. I am lost, totally lost. And then I am receiving the unconditional nourishment of this nectar of the unification, the immortality, and I am lost. And then that is Ravana Stotra. So that is Sudhasara Varshini. So through the previous sloka, Agna Chakrantaralastha Rudra Gandhi Vibhedini, Agna Chakrantaralastha provides training to the faculty of mind. Rudra Gandhi Vibhedini provides training to the faculty of discretion. Sahasraram Bhujaruda Sudhasara Varshini. This sloka having two namas, Sahasraram Bhujaruda Sudhasara Varshini. Sahasraram Bhujaruda provides training to the faculty of faculty of discretion, and Sudhasara Varshini provides faculty of training to the faculty of intellect. The remaining namas we will explore in the next episode. Thank you.